Hello children, today in this video I'll be teaching a new lesson, the banyan tree, from your book Honeysuckle for class 6th, chapter 10th. So I want that everyone take out that chapter. So before I start the chapter, children tell me, have you seen a banyan tree? Yes, it is called Bargat ka Ped in Hindi. Have you seen a mongoose? You must be, I'm sure. You have read in lesson 9 that a mongoose can fight with and kill a snake. So before explanation of the chapter, let us hear a poem, The Banyan Tree by Rabindranath Tagore. The Banyan Tree is authored by Ruskin Bound, but Rabindranath Tagore has also written a poem on the banyan tree. Its spreading branches, which hung to the ground and took root again. So you see, children, both the mongoose and the cobra are standing face to face with each other. In this picture, you will see that how the cobra and the mongoose are standing in front of each other. Before I should start with the poem, I would like to introduce to the banyan tree. The author narrates an incident of fight between a mongoose and a cobra that he witnessed as a young boy while sitting under a banyan tree at his grandparents' house. Now let us read or listen about the author. How can we forget the creator of the chapter, the banyan tree? You must know the creator of the banyan tree, his own creation. Ruskin Bond, born 19 May 1934, is an Indian author of British descent. He lives with his adopted family in Landour, Mussoorie in India. The Indian Council for Child Education has recognized his role in the growth of children's literature in India. He was awarded the Sahitya Akademi Award in 1992 for Our Trees Still Grow in Dehra. His novel in English. He was awarded the Padma Shri in 1999 and the Padma Bhushan in 2014. Now listen the poem The Banyan Tree, composed by very renowned poet Rabindranath Tagore, a poet and Nobel laureate. Oh, you shaggy headed banyan tree, standing on the bank of the pond, have you forgotten the little child? Like the birds that have nested in your branches and left you. Do you not remember how he sat at the window and wondered at the tangle of your roots and plunged underground? The women the women would come to fill their jars in the pond, and your huge black shadow would wriggle on the water like sleep struggling to wake up. Sunlight danced on the ripples like restless tiny shuttles, weaving golden tapestry. Two ducks swam by the weedy margin above their shadows, and the child would sit stiff and think. He longed to be the wind and blow through your resting branches, to be your shadow and lengthen with the day on the water, to be a bird and perch on your topmost twig, and to float like those ducks among the weeds and shadows. Now, before I should start the explanation of the story, let's know the meanings of the difficult words from the chapter. Venomous, poisonous, motion, movement, vertebrae, one of the joint in the spine, arching, curving, sniffing, breathing, morsels, small pieces, head strong, obstinate, squabbling, quarreling, propping up, leaning against, approaching, drawing near, went straight for, proceeded to attack, aggressive, attacking, defiance, challenge to fight, darting, moving, spectacled, having marks like powered glasses, combatants, fighters, mesmerize, bewitch, shrieking, crying, glistened, shone, whipped, suddenly, thudding, hitting, fluttered, moved its wings. Now, now you see, children, that the fight of the cobra and the mongoose is a classic drama often seen in India, and the outcome is largely the same. The mongoose is not immune to the venomous bite, but is faster and quicker in motion than the snake. The cobra assumes a posture of defense and attempts to reach the animal by a sweeping strike, but the quick moving mongoose jumps out of reach and comes at the snake from another direction. Before the snake can get into a striking position again, this constant movement tires and discourages the snake, and the mongoose is finally able to leap in close and bury its teeth in the snake's neck, usually severing the joints of its vertebrae. So, its spreading branches, which hung to the ground and took root again, forming a number of twisting passages, give, gave me endless pleasure. Among them were squirrels and snails and butterflies. The tree was older than the house, older than grandfather, as old as Dehradun itself. I could hide myself in its branches behind thick green leaves and spy on the world below. Means the author, as a young boy, tried to live in his grandfather's house in Dehradun. There was an old banyan tree in the garden. The tree was home to squirrels, butterflies, and snails. The author used to hide in its branches and behind thick green leaves. My first friend was a small grey squirrel, arching his back and sniffing into the air. He seemed at first to resent my invasion of his privacy, but when he found that I did not arm myself with catapult or air gun, he became friendly. And when I started bringing him pieces of cake and biscuit, he grew quite bold. There was a squirrel. It became his friend only when it became certain that the boy had no catapult or air gun. Later, when the boy started to bring him pieces of cake and biscuit, the squirrel was soon taking morsels from his hand. He grew quite bold and was soon taking morsels from hand. Before long, he was delving into my pockets and helping himself to whatever he could find. He was a very young squirrel. It means that it grew quite bold and started taking small food pieces from his hand. It started going deep into his pocket in search of food. During the time when figs in the springtime, when the banyan was full of small red figs, birds of all kinds would flock into its branches. The red bottomed bulbul, cheerful and greedy, parrots, myna, and crows, squabbling with one another during the fig season. The banyan tree was the noisiest place in the garden. It means that during the time when figs appeared, the banyan tree was the noisiest place in the garden. The birds of all kinds would flock into branches there, and it became the noisiest place in the garden. Halfway up the tree, I had built a crude platform where I would spend the afternoons. When it was not too hot, I could read there, propping myself up against the tree with a cushion from the living room. Treasure Island, Huckleberry Finn, and the story of Dr. Doolittle were some of the books that made up my banyan tree library. So, the author had prepared a crude platform, and the author used to read books of different kinds of Huckleberry Finn and Dr. Doolittle and so many stories. And sometimes he looked down through the leaves at the world below. So it means that he spent the afternoons when it was not too hot sitting there. He had read many books. Thus, the banyan tree served the boy as a reading room. One afternoon, in a clearing beneath the banyan tree, in bright sunshine, they came face to face. The cobra knew only too well that the grey mongoose, 3 feet long, was a super fighter, clever and aggressive, an experienced fighter. It was the summer afternoon, and all of them were shut in their houses, including the gardener in the house. The author himself was feeling very drowsy. Then he saw a huge black cobra gliding out of a clump of cactus. At the same time, a mongoose emerged from the bushes and went for the cobra. Means the author saw the classic fight between a mongoose and a cobra. He saw a huge black cobra coming out of a group of cactus. At the same time, a mongoose also came from the bushes. They came face to face. Both of them were aware of each other's strength and weakness. Actually, it was the battle of champions because both were equally skilled and experienced fighter. Means it was the encounter of both the champions. The narrator saw a black cobra coming out of a cactus, and a mongoose also emerged from the bushes and went straight for the cobra. In a clearing beneath the banyan tree, they stood face to face. Clearly, there is going to be a battle of champion. Now there is a preparation for the battle. Cobra about 3 feet, and what Cobra did? 3 feet long, was a super fighter, clever and aggressive, and the sacks behind his long, sharp fangs. It was going to be a battle of champions, and the long hair on the spine stood up. The mongoose spread his broad spectacled hood. The mongoose pushed his tail the long. The cobra spread his broad hood and the mongoose pushed his tail. Besides the boy narrator, there was a manna and a crow looking at the battle. The cobra's hood on the defensive, swaying slowly from side to side, trying. Hissing defiance, his forked tongue darting in and out, the cobra raised 3 of his 6 feet off the ground and spread his broad spectacled hood. The mongoose bushed his tail. The long hair on his spine stood up. The mongoose was clever, aggressive, and a super fighter, while the cobra can strike swiftly and his face were full of deadly poison. The fight between the cobra and the mongoose began, and there were 3 spectators of the battle. The three spectators were the author, a myna, and a jungle crow. They carried down on the cactus. They settled down on the cactus to watch the outcome of the battle. So, though the combatants were unaware of my presence in the tree, they were soon made aware of the arrival of two other spectators. One was a myna, the other a jungle crow. They had seen these preparations for battle and had settled on the cactus to watch the outcome. Had they been content only to watch, all would have been well with both of them. The mongoose started the attack. It made a pretended move to one side. The cobra struck, but the mongoose jumped to one side. The mongoose bit the snake on its back, and the two birds tried to feed on the cobra, thinking that it is dead. The crow and myna made 3 attempts to feed on the cobra. They collided 2 times with each other. Meanwhile, the mongoose keep attacking the snake. In the third round, the cobra struck the crow with great force and killed it. The myna remained on the cactus and decided not to interfere. Means the third round followed the same course as the first, but with one dramatic difference. The crow and the myna, still determined to take part in the proceedings, dived at the cobra, but this time they missed each other as well as their mark. The myna flew on and reached its perch, but the crow tried to pull up in midair and turned back. In the second that it took the bird to do this, the cobra whipped his head back and struck with great force, his snout thudding against the crow's body. Means the cobra struck, however, before it could touch him, the mongoose had jumped to one side. While doing so, he also bit the snake on the back. A few drops of blood glistened on the cobra's back. There were many such rounds, and every time the mongoose was the victor. During one such round, the crow came in between and became a victim of the snake bite. I saw the bird flung nearly 20 feet across the garden. It fluttered about for a while, then lay still. The myna remained on the cactus plant, and when the snake and the mongoose returned to the fight, very wisely decided not to interfere again. The cobra was weakening, and the mongoose, walking fearlessly up to it, raised himself. It fluttered about for a while. The little fellow hung grimly on until the snake. सर कह रहे हैं कि इतना मेहनत बेकार हो गया. अब बीच में 2 मिनट चुप रहते सर. लाइब्रेरी सर बोल रहे थे ना कि ये कर रहे हैं, रिकॉर्डिंग कर रहे हैं. सब रिकॉर्डिंग बर्बाद हो गया.